And I think that Noah and I have a pretty similar outtake on the book itself. I'm going to say mine, and then Noah, you can say yours. But I just think that this, if you've never heard of Think and Grow Rich, it was written in, 1920...
Early 20s, 23, 24.
Yeah, by a gentleman by the name of Napoleon Hill. And he was commissioned by Andrew Carnegie, the big steel mill gentleman. And he basically, how would you explain it? He commissioned him, he gave him 30 seconds, 60 seconds to be able to answer the question, will you take like the next 20 years of your life to essentially be able to chronicleize all of these incredible people, Ford and Edison and Carnegie himself.
All the greats.
All these people that we would never even be able to get a chance to be a part of. And the crazy thing is that this is really along the secrets, the lines of essentially The Secret as well. If you've never read The Secret, that'd be a great book as well. But it's crazy because this is written in the mid to late 20s, sometime in the 20s, right before the 30s. Mm-hmm. So the stuff that he's talking about is like advanced. It's actually probably even more advanced than some of the stuff that people even kind of like. Of yeah, it's crazy. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I think that the Bible verse where there is no vision, the people perish.
Yeah.
I think Napoleon had a vision far past what so many people even have any thought of today. Yeah. Right, and he summarizes it all so well in his books. He's really great.
And I think that's important too, that you're talking about the vision. I don't think that's one of the... So we're going to talk about the steps in general today. How many? There's 13 of them? 13 steps. We're going to talk about them individually and what they mean to like each one of us. And again, I encourage you guys to kind of find your own version as well. But, the vision, I think what you said is really important because it's, I think there's just so many people that walk around feeling completely helpless when they're completely in control of their entire lives. But they just don't have a vision or the lack of vision. And, one of the things he even talks about in here is that the mind is almost like a garden. And if you don't plant what you want in that garden, weeds are going to pop up. And I've even heard other people, on different shows and stuff talk about how, if you think about it, like nobody plants a weed. It just
pops up.
It just pops up.
And it's there.
Right.
If we don't cultivate our mind in a mindset of growth, everything else just always pops in. Yeah.
So I think the number one thing to take away from this at a minimum today is that like, and again, I think, Noah and I are going to just share like our personal beliefs, but my belief is that, and it's kind of a weird belief, but that we are, that in my opinion, everything's kind of like destined to be as it will, but that we have complete control over it. Now again,
100%.
I really can't explain like how that works, but that like we have 100% control over it, but it's meant to be whatever's meant to be. It's going to happen anyways. And even it's the book of like Kabbalah that talks about how everything's already happened and everything's already written.
Just for us to determine what it is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I think that the number one thing, and I don't know if you'd agree with me, but like the number one thing is that we have a lot more control over our lives than a lot of people will even. There's so many people out there that'll probably just die thinking that, oh my God, I had such bad luck, or this was just meant to be, or I'm just supposed to be, like this. And they talk about so much too. The book is called Think and Grow Rich, but it's not just, in my opinion, about money. Like so many people put so much weight on money, but really like, the things of, the cliche things of happiness comes from within inside of us. Yeah. We're completely in control of that. Yeah. And even people like, and he speaks about Mahatma Gandhi in the book as well, but he had nothing. He had no clothes. He had he had his wrappings, but he had no house, no money, but yet
no monetary anything.
Yet he had so much power, he had so much wealth, he had such a full life. And they even talk about it when we talk about the mastermind. They talked about how these 200 million minds together, he had so much power than one of the greatest world leaders, and he had nothing but, yeah.
And that I think that's the epitome of the book is influence.
Yeah.
Right. I think Think and Grow Rich, money is a subset of what happens beforehand.
I agree.
And I think if you really want to be successful and have a lot of money, you have to be successful in your mind and in your body and the things you're doing before all the money shows up.
I agree. What do you think would happen if you didn't do it in that direction?
You'd never get the money. I'm sure it's happened at some point, but the likelihood of you striving for success and for money and for the things of the world before you've actually conquered yourself, I just don't know that it's possible.
What do you think people put so much emphasis on, money in general? Yeah, money is great, and yes, it'll buy you nice things and it'll let you live a comfortable life.
I think that's it. It'll buy you nice things.
Yeah.
I think we don't have the same vision as a society or as a people as Mahatma Gandhi.
Yeah.
We don't want to influence people by our actions. We want to influence people by our things, by our cars and our homes. We think that's going to have a bigger impression on people than how we act or why we act.
Like, why though? I mean, who cares? I mean, most of the times we just end up trying to impress somebody that we don't even know.
Yeah.
And it's insane. Like, why there's got to be something inside of us that says like, okay, well, I act like this in front of complete strangers to gain their attention, approval. Yeah. It's crazy. Like, why? I mean, what would even?
I think we do it for them in a roundabout way for ourselves. Yeah, like it. When they approve of us, then we can finally approve of ourselves. And I think that's where I think as a society we're so far away from being still and being alone and being quiet.
Yeah.
That we're always looking to all these other places. We never spend time with ourselves.
Yeah.
So we don't accept ourselves. We don't even know ourselves. So how could we ever accept ourselves? So that's why it's easier to go buy a $40,000 sports car. Be like, yeah, look at me. I'm cool now.
Right.
And the person approves of the sports car, then we approve of ourselves. Yeah.
And it's kind of weird too, because even like there's somebody that goes out and finances a sports car, and they're like literally going into debt just affording that sports car. It's almost like a backwards theory of you get that approval, but then you end up hurting yourselves.
Exactly.
But it really just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we just don't care. We just want the upfront little hit of dopamine when the sports car next to us isn't as fast as our sports car. It makes us feel good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, there's other books too, like Think and Grow Rich. How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie. And I just think it's about like, the most important thing to any of us is ourselves, and we're constantly going out there trying to, I don't know.
Do it for other people.
Do it for other people when we just, like you said, we should just be focusing on ourselves. Yeah. Okay, so again, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, incredible book. If you have not read it, I would absolutely suggest it. But let's dive in. So the first one is, let me ask you before this. So if you've never read Think and Grow Rich, or if you have read it, he talks about the secret, and do you think that you can pick up the secret? And he never really kind of. I think he does, but then people say like he doesn't really actually tell you the secret. There's even been other people that will say that this is kind of like I don't exactly know the correct wording for it, but like a sales pitch,
a blueprint,
into his other books, or kind of getting you to help you make you read the other books. Yeah. If you had to say, like, do you think the secret's in here?
No, I don't.
Okay.
For me, I don't think it is.
Okay.
I think he gives us. I like to think of it as a blueprint.
Sure.
Right? And so...
A blueprint for what?
For the secret. I think the secret is us.
Okay.
The secret from me is going to be different for the secret from you.
Awesome.
Right? Okay. And so this is the blueprint. We fill in with our own story, our own lives, our own successes and failures. We fill in the blanks. And then the secret is us. Right? Because the principles all... The principles are all going to be different. A decision, like the seventh principle, decisions for you are going to be different than decisions for me. Mm-hmm. We fill in it all with our stories, and it's going to be something completely different, right? My decisions might be to go on and start a Fortune 500 company.
Sure.
That might be my goal and my decision and what I need to do. For you, it might be something completely different.
True.
Right. And so I don't know that the secret's in here, or at least not for me. Right. Yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the secret is persistence. So I think that's what he's trying to say. And he even says it kind of like they always say like, oh, you can fight it in the introduction. I think it's persistence, because without, the thought that turns into the feeling turns into the action turns into the result. Like you can't have really any of that without the persistence.
100%.
And kind of going into the first two steps, which are desire and faith, you have to have that burning. The first one's desire, and so we could talk about those individually, but you have to have all of that secret ingredient for a lot of that stuff is just the persistence to kind of go on. And I think a lot of people just the reason I'm saying that is I think that a lot of people kind of just give up. And he talks about temporary defeats and how basically people. I just did a video on that. They talk about how people just essentially take that as their, I would say, chosen your chosen fate, because again you're kind of like choosing it. We just talked about decision. The persistence of really the faith, the desire's there. If you've got a strong enough desire, everybody has one thing or another that they're gonna feel. They really want it. A lot of times it has something to do with material, or it has something to do with like their spouse, or it has something to do with something they just had to have, and they chased and went through all of those no's. But that main ingredient is persistence, throughout that. So I would almost say that that's but that's the cool thing about the book is that, we can all, like you said, we're all individuals. We all want different things. And have you ever read The Secret?
I haven't, no.
You haven't. It's amazing. So it talks about how, one of the things is they talk about how in The Secret, it's kind of like, I consider it's an incredible book, The Secret. It's actually kind of what started my journey on all of this I call brain food. But they talk about, you can have kind of anything that you want in life, almost like ordering it from like a catalog, like a Sears catalog. And then they go into, you're probably thinking, well, like, how can I have anything I want? And how can you have anything you want? How can there be enough of this abundance going around? But we just don't all want the same things. Exactly. I may want the sports car, and you may want the Fortune 500 company, and, our wives may want, fill in the blank. So not everybody wants the same thing out of a catalog. So that's what's pretty cool about it. Yeah. And did you want to add anything to that?
No, yeah. I think we oftentimes talk ourselves out of being quote unquote successful.
Yeah.
Because we see someone else being successful. There's so much abundance in the world, and again, we don't all want the same thing. Yeah. But we talk ourselves out of it if someone gets a promotion before us, or if we're both in sales. If someone has a better sales month than we do, or whatever. Like, not everybody can be successful. That's what we think, and it holds ourselves back. Our doubts and our fears that are completely irrational. They talk ourselves out of accomplishing this, right?
Why? Like, why? Because it's true, and I'm not going to lie. I mean, I even sometimes, I think, I don't really can't even explain it, but I think there are a lot of people that say that they get close to the success and then almost like...
give up.
Yeah, like why? Yeah. Why? Like why?
I think this persistence, like you had mentioned, I think it's funny because I wonder how many people persist long enough to make it through the book, right?
It's crazy. It's very true.
Years of constant grit or grind or perseverance to actually keep going, because it's a hard read.
It's deep. It's really deep. Yeah.
But if this is the hardest thing we've ever done, is read this book, I mean, then when the other trials in life pop up and we give up on those, then when somebody else is better than we are, we think we can never accomplish that. We just talk ourselves out of it. I think we're a nation of people who talk ourselves out of stuff.
There's got to be a reason, though. There's got to be a reason why. Almost like I'm always looking for like the makeup of why, of how to make the sausage.
The genetic code of
what's in our DNA that makes us.
It's a good question.
Because I can't answer. I can't really. I know that there's a difference between, you know, and I talked about this in the video that I just did, but I really believe that just kind of like you said, the difference between the winners and the losers is the persistence and being able to, you know, I'm gonna do a video too on like all the golden rules, and one of the golden rules, in my opinion, is if you get knocked down, you know, try again. If you fail, try again, and it's really just kind of saying like you're gonna get. He even talked